Welcome to Nerd Words. Today we're going to be discussing role-playing games. In particular, one by Evil Hat Productions based on Jim Butcher's best-selling series, The Dresden Files. Now, literally, we just wrapped up a session of this game.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular.
It's, you know, a lot of different systems out there. This one uses the Fate system, which is basically you use 4 six-sided dice, and you have positives, negatives, and neutrals. It's a really basic game mechanic.
Here's the biggest thing about Dresden and what I like the most about it. When I RPG, I like to actually role play instead of rolling the dice constantly. I mean, sometimes you get in spots in other campaigns where you have to roll the dice, and got in a particularly atrocious, 4th edition campaign of D&D where you did nothing but roll dice. Dresden, it plays it up in the manual for it. You role play this game. I rolled the dice. We played for 3 hours, and I rolled my dice twice.
It's a very story-driven. We've all played a variety of systems. I mean, we literally. I know that I played. I'm pretty sure Al played 1st edition D&D.
Oh yeah, way back.
We graduated to 2nd. Actually, we held on to 2nd. To this day, when we play, we usually use 2nd edition rules.
Still do 2nd edition.
Of course, we've played Vampire. We've played Star Wars, both the old D20 system and the new system by Fantasy Flight Games, which is amazing, which is another game where it's all story-driven.
Yeah, I mean, the story-driven parts of it, almost, a good portion of it comes from who your GM or DM, in the case of Dungeons & Dragons, is, and what style they like to play. Like I said, we got in a particularly bad one that was nothing but rolling the dice for 3 hours a night, which was terrible.
And, with Dresden, of course, I run the Dresden game, and I've built this world around East Tennessee where we live. We are set primarily in Knoxville. Tonight we went to Chattanooga, but this system's really in depth about how you build your cities, how you build your characters, and it's actually as much fun as I've ever had writing role-playing games.
Yeah, instead of purely fantasy when we played D&D, which was good, but a fresh aspect of the game we're playing now is that you've got this fantastical setting with magic in the real world, and it's really neat to play with. I mean, you can go to locations, we do, where you've been, you know what this looks like in real life.
I mean, literally, this campaign is set in their backyard.
It is.
I mean, I can only say with the highest recommendation, read the Dresden Files if you've not.
It's a phenomenal series.
Read the books.
And
the books are amazing.
Once
phenomenal.
you get through the series, and then you start playing the game, you're in that universe.
You really
which is
are.
Just, it's an urban fantasy setting. It's our universe where magic happens and where there's other worlds, other dimensions.
And I'm going to have to say this. If you're going to play the Dresden games, it will actually help you to read these novels first.
Yeah.
The characters in the books are in the games.
Yeah. There's 5 of us that, in particular, that play this campaign. 4 of us have read all the novels. Brandon, the 5th, has not. And he does a good job, but sometimes we have to stop and say, well, this is what this is. Like tonight, we ran into Matt, Queen of Winter.
Heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah, one of the big bads.
Pretty much one of the top
From this
3
world,
in the Dresden verse.
Yeah, big bad.
And Brandon, role-playing his character as the redneck meth dealing werewolf from Stinking Creek. He's like the Daryl Dixon of the Dresden verse.
But a wolf,
but
not a
actually really
crossbow
cool and
carrying.
awesome.
Yes.
And he was ready to fight man.
Well, and that's another great point, because in the Dresden system, the amount of what you can play, your characters that you get to play are numerous. You can be just about whatever you want, and then you role play that out. And then you can add on later. You can be you can add other things to it.
So like tonight, we hit what's called a major milestone. Yeah. It's the leveling up of the Dresden.
You can be a werewolf. You can be a wizard. You can be a champion of God. You can be pretty much whatever you want, and you're set in current time frame in the city. So it's pretty nice to role play that out.
The other thing about Dresden, it encourages you to write a backstory for your character, and you get bonuses in the game they're called aspects of your character's life. And you get bonuses in the game as you play if you can invoke your aspect from something of your past.
Well, this world came from an author, a guy that writes stories, and I think he had a pretty heavy hand in, you know, the design of the role.
Here's an interesting thing about this game, and this is the reason it went to Evil Hat Games, which says the Fate system. The guy that created the Fate system is a childhood friend of Jim Butcher.
I didn't know that.
And when he was shopping it around, he's like, well, you know what? This is my friend. He's got a pretty good system. This is what we're going to do.
Well, it's a true role-playing system by the word role, R-O-L-E. Role-playing is R-O-L-E, not R-O-L-L. When they say we're going to do role-playing, they don't mean we're going to roll dice. You're going to play a role. You're going to play your character. And as Stevie said, your character, or John, you have a backstory to your character that you write out. This entire back of this character sheet is the life of my character. And that goes into the way you play it. And in other role-playing games, you're just a character and you play that game.
I mean, you can write out a backstory, but this one
the backstory greatly affects you.
Importantly benefits and affects your game.
Well, Butcher was a role player.
Yeah.
He played D&D. He was a game master.
Even in the books, his character plays D&D.
He does, yeah.
So, I mean, Harry goes and plays D&D with his buddies. And you can tell, you know, someone who's did it before. It's just like I said, it's a really good system, really theatrical system. If you like role-playing better than you like rolling dice, you'd really enjoy this.
And I can't stress enough, anybody should, I mean, if you've not looked at the Dresden Files book series, it's really worth your time.
What are we on, book 14?
The one coming out should be, I think, book 14.
Comes out
16.
Comes out on my birthday.
Yeah, the new book's coming out soon, and Butcher said that it's a, you know, it's not an indefinite amount of books.
He's got 20 case files and
Yeah.
a big apocalyptic trilogy.
So, yeah.
Which is saying a lot because we've already had one big apocalyptic event
Yeah.
roll through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And there's just a lot of interesting takes on everything. I can't recommend this book series higher. And there's a few others. In a future episode, we'll have just an episode focused on a lot of books.
Right. I mean, tons of stuff. We've got books coming up. We've got The Walking Dead, which everybody loves. More games. In fact, we may actually do some episodes where we play out a game and show you how a game is played, like, say, the Lords of Waterdeep game or The Walking Dead, the board game.
It's great, great game.
But fans,
is impressive.
we're about out of time. Our camera guy just flipped us the bird. And we will see you next time on Nerd Words.